Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Teepee Talk. Today we have Jodi Kaye with the Rites of Passage. Jodi, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi Dana. Thanks for having me on today, by the way.
Yes.
I am, first and foremost, I'm a mom. I have 3 girls.
Okay.
They're 10, 12, and 15, so right in that age group
of your business.
Of my business, exactly. So they keep me hopping and, busy all the time. When I'm not doing the momming thing, I am a nurse. I've been a nurse for going on 20 years now.
Okay.
So most of my career was in labor and delivery, and I do a little bit of surgical nursing, so my hands on a couple things. So.
Okay, very cool. So tell us a little bit about the Rites of Passage.
So the Rites of Passage is a business that I created about 6 years ago, and it kind of came from my love of teaching as a nurse, especially in obstetrics. I loved passing off these babies to their parents sitting down with them and talking to them for an hour about how they were going to take care of their babies. And then I also knew that personally as a mom, my husband was not going to tackle these conversations with our kids. So I knew it was going to fall on me because we have 3 girls, and I needed a comfortable way to talk to our kids about puberty and all the things that go along with that as they grow up, so we could establish a comfort level with talking about this stuff. So I wrote these classes, and I've basically been writing them as my kids hit each of these milestones. So I always tell my girls when they grumble about learning about puberty that I wrote this class for you. You're gonna go anyway. So
you make it more comfortable for moms, daughters, dads, daughters, because I'm sure there's plenty of dads and daughters out there that need it too.
Absolutely.
To talk about puberty and all the fun changes that are happening to your body, right?
Right. So my goal with my business is to create and establish a level of comfort with communicating about these topics. So anything about puberty, sexuality, sexual health education is really the broad topic of what I talk about. So I start with kids as early as age 8, and I go up through the teenage years, and each class is designed to be taught to, the level of the age that I'm teaching at. So my 8-year-olds are getting a much different conversation than my 10 and 12-year-olds versus my 13 to 16-year-olds. So it's all about hygiene, it's all about taking care of our bodies, keeping our bodies clean while learning about the changes that happen to our bodies as they go through puberty. For girls, we learn all about periods. We make kits. We try to just open the lines of communication between parent and child, so that parents can share their experiences and stories, and children can learn from their parents, and also know that it's okay to talk about this stuff. That's the biggest thing. Is nobody wants to talk about this stuff. So my goal is to try to make it comfortable to talk about and cover some really important information along the way.
Well, that's super important. So do you go to doctor's offices and do this? Do you do them out of somebody's home? How do you sign up? Where do you sign up? All that. Give us all that info.
Okay, so I teach both public and private classes. My public classes are done in various locations, doctor's offices. I do them out of different schools, waiting rooms, community centers, all different kinds of places, anywhere who will invite me to come and have these classes in their location. So a public class, anybody can sign up, and all my sign up is done on my website at www.theritesofpassage.biz. And that's where all my classes are listed. And then also I do them on a private basis. So if you have a daughter and your daughter wants to you want to have your daughter take a class, maybe with like her Girl Scout troop, or if she has a gymnastics team, or your son, his school friends, we can put together a private class for 10 to 15 parent-child couples, and that way all of the kids in that group are learning about the same information at the same time. You don't have to worry about your kids teaching each other about it, exactly, because they're learning it together from an honest source and getting the correct information, as opposed to the bits and pieces that we don't want them finding out there when they search on their own. So,
so what about, so you do father, son, mother, daughter. Do you do father, daughter, and mother, son?
Good question. So typically my classes are same gender parents. So if I can get mother-daughter together or father-son together, then that's ideal, because there is some sharing about our own experiences as we went through puberty. So when I get a group of mothers together, if there's a father that's there, he's definitely more than welcome. But he's going to have a little bit of a harder time talking about his own experience with, periods and such, because he didn't have that. And vice versa with the mom, about her experiences like shaving. It's not going to be quite the same. But I never want to leave any child out. So that being said, if a mom can't make it to her daughter's class, then the father's more than welcome to join. Okay. I've had 2 moms come to classes before. I've had fathers come to classes before. I've had grandparents come to classes. So aunts, uncles, friends, siblings, anybody is really able to join. Okay. So they start at, I do classes for younger kids. 8 to 10 is where I start. And then I have middle school classes, so 10 to 12, somewhere in there. And then I have a teenage class for up to 16-year-olds. And each class tackles a different subject and different matter that they need to learn for that age.
Very cool. So you said you cover different age ranges. Obviously, each class is a different topic, so do you want to elaborate more on that?
For sure, yeah. So my younger kids classes, for girls we start at 8 to 10, for boys it's 9 to 11, and those classes are going to be mostly focused on, let's start talking about this stuff. Okay. Let's take some of that scare factor out of, it being gross and icky, and I just don't want to talk about it. I have so many kids come into my classes and they're like, I don't want to be here, I don't want to talk about this stuff, and by the time they're done leaving my class, I have this happy kid who's like talking about it and sharing stories. And that's like the biggest success story for me. So my younger kids are going to learn all about communicating about this topic. They're going to realize that it's not something hard to talk about, that we can actually have fun, and that we can talk about it with our parents. So a lot of hygiene, a lot of taking care of our bodies, what is expected as we go through puberty, and then also the basics of, the other difficult topics that parents have troubles talking with their kids about, for both boys and girls. And then my middle schoolers, they're going to be learning all about boys. They're going to be learning all about girls, and they are taught separately. So there's that comfort factor where they don't have to worry about the other gender being there. They learn all about girls, all about boys. They learn about where babies come from. And then we also talk about body image, self-esteem, and also relationships. We start talking about relationships. Okay. And then my teenage class is a parent-child class, but it is my only class where I actually ask the parents to leave for 1 hour of the class so that teens can ask their own questions.
And not have their parents around.
Exactly. And
that's a good idea
to do that. So they're going to learn all of the nuts and bolts about what we need them to know. So that is my no holds barred. Here's all the information you need to be safe, to make good choices, regardless of what choice you make, and to do it, in a safe and healthy way. So,
So are parents allowed to have their own class? Because I know sometimes I feel like I don't know all the information that I should be teaching my child.
Absolutely, yes. So I do have a class for parents as well. I like to have classes where, kids can feel comfortable asking questions. I also like to have classes where parents can feel comfortable asking questions. So I do have 2 parents-only classes. Okay. My one is just a general topic of how to talk to your kids about sex and sexuality and growing up and puberty and all of these other hard topics that we don't know how to talk about. So my goal for my parent-only classes is that parents have a safe place where they can ask questions without their kids being present. So that one is pretty. A parent class is just a parent class. Okay. Kids can't be in the room because we're talking about using all kinds of different words and answering questions. And then I also have a puberty boot camp for dads. I did write a class just for dads, I get requests for the moms too. And the reason I haven't written that one yet, this need came from when I was teaching dads classes. I had so many dads when I was talking about periods and how to prepare for, that stage of their daughter's life, and they were asking so many questions. I realized
those poor men.
Dads need a class too. So I wrote Puberty Boot Camp for Dads, and that's just a safe place. It's for single dads, it's for married dads, it's a safe place for dads to ask questions without being judged by a group of people, and I always tell dads, you have a 50-50 shot of this happening on your watch, so you have to be prepared too.
Right. So. Very true. Oh.
So yeah. So it's all about preparation.
All right, so let's get to know Jodi a little bit better. I'm going to ask her to share her most embarrassing moment with all of us.
Okay, one that's coming to mind just off the top of my head is I love to do hot yoga. I've been doing hot yoga for a really long time, and I was stealthily trying to sneak out early of a class, which is kind of frowned upon. You're not supposed to leave the class early. So I was very quietly picking up my stuff, and of course there were wood floors, and somebody had been sweating right at the entrance to the yoga studio, and my foot went right out from underneath me, and I made this huge commotion going down. It ended up breaking my toe bone in the process. It was, So that was a
That'll
pretty...
teach you to leave class early.
Exactly. So much for relaxing at the end.
Right? Oh, goodness. Ow, that hurts.
Yeah, it was pretty painful.
All right. Well, Jodi's classes usually run through the school year. She follows the school year calendar, but you can book a private class, correct?
Yes.
During the summer if you are interested. So be sure to check out her website. I'll post it as well. And social media too, right?
Social media, I'm mostly prominent on Facebook. Yes.
Okay.
So you can find me on Facebook, and then also, I have a link to add your email to my list. So while classes are kind of shutting down for the summer, we'll be resuming again in August and September. So feel free to get on my email newsletter. I don't email that often, only once or twice a month, but it'll allow you to get updates on when classes are started up again as well.
Perfect. So. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in to Teepee Talk today. Again, this is Jodi Kaye with the Rites of Passage.
Thanks so much, Dina.
See you later.
Bye.